What's going on, guys? Tommy the Truckman here. If you can't tell by the attire, it does get cold here in North Florida on occasion, and we're not working on this old truck today. We're working on this one. So what we're looking at here are the hoses for the heater core. Your inline should have some sort of controller for when you turn the heat on. And these should be different temperatures if you're not getting flow here. They're both the same temp, so I know there's a problem with this, but it's not actually that part. It's this piece, the temperature control switch. That thing flops around and is broken in there, so we need to replace it. If I've said it once, I'll say it again. Make good friends with somebody at the junkyard so you can get little bits like this for about 20 bucks. Factory radio 2. I'm also going to show you guys how to flush the heater core today. A lot of times flushing that heater core will clean it out and make it run good. I don't have reason to believe this one's bad, but I can't control that until I replace the switches. Don't ever open the cooling system while the engine is hot, so we're going to go ahead and work on the interior while the engine cools off so we can work on the heater core. And you guys already know step 1, always remove the positive terminal from the battery. It'll keep you from unaliving yourself. It's a friendly reminder, if you got an old truck, buy yourself a pretty decent sized socket kit, preferably with some extra storage for the random bits and bobs you buy. I recommend Craftsman, lifetime warranty. And just a pro tip, guys, plan ahead, especially with interior pieces in the dash. You're gonna get into some weird angles as you're moving stuff around. Move your seats all the way back, fold them all the way back. Gives you plenty of room to sit in here and work. All right, guys, every vehicle interior is going to be very different and specific to your car. This is a 2002 Tundra. Yank the knobs off. You got 3 screws right here that are pretty obvious. On this model, there's some secret screws hiding right there and right there. Once we get those 5 out, this should all come out. If you have something different, look up your vehicle, figure out how to get this centerpiece out. It's going to be different for every single vehicle on the market. Good to know I have good taste. So now that the screws are out, they actually make a tool to pry this bit of trim out, just called a trim tool. If you want to be cheap, just get the widest flathead that you have and wrap a little bit of cloth around it and just gently pry up on the edge of this. You might have to dig in there a little bit. The reason we put that fabric on there is we don't want metal to touch this plastic and start chewing it up. All you're trying to do is get enough purchase for some fingers to get in there like that. Some good tugs. And just like that, it's out. I should probably mention before we go any further, do not use power tools. Be very careful taking nuts and bolts in and out because this old plastic's brittle. These things fell out once I removed the center console here, and you can see there's some cracked plastic right here. This is about to fall apart, so we're going to gently remove these clips. Just put a flathead screwdriver in there to unlock it, pull it out. Do that for all 3 that are on the back of this. Again, your vehicle will be different. And just one more example of this brittle plastic. You see these little spring clips right here that go in those holes? Well, that one is still in its hole. So be careful. You will break things. As you can see, the plastic on the newer one already looks much better. Basically what we're looking to do is make sure that all of these plug holes match up. That's going to be for your clock, stuff like that. Yeah, everything looks to be matched up. This is still in our truck. We're going to take this part out now. So this is the heater control module. Those were the 3 screws we took out. This is where the knobs go on. This is the one that's just coming in and out of there. It's not attached to anything, right? We pulled this out separately, and then we're going to attach the new one back in this truck and put the new cover plate on with the good knobs and everything. And we're going to replace this factory radio with one that's about 2 years newer, so hopefully the tape deck will get to working and we can fight for our right. So this one's very easy. Again, just be gentle. All you're gonna do is rock it back and forth until it drops out of its little tray here. Pull it forward as far as you can, because the tricky bit, we're gonna have to unhook these cables that run the manual switches, and then this electronic switch for the fan is just electronic. Another quick tip, make sure you have these in their shortest throw position, so this would make the cable the closest to the dash. And we're going to set the other one opposite so that the cables are all the way out, but these are all the way in, so that they'll go in and out a little easier, and then they'll adjust themselves once you get to turning the knobs. So if you got the time and you want to buy some, you can change out these green bulbs for an LED, you know, any color of your choice, if you want to do that while you're in here. Whatever you're working on is probably going to be a pain in the butt. Most cars' interior pieces are, so don't be afraid to get a little creative. Ugh. And fashion a tool you need. Don't tell my wife where this fork went. Get my camera in there to show you, but I made this tool basically to bend these two prongs open. That's going to release this cable stop so we can get the cables unhooked from there and out of the unit itself. Takes a little bit of doing, but you want to make sure you get these out and you don't break them, because this is what creates the functionality. This piece being held into the heater control module. Do not break. You don't know a lot of bad words yet, I'd look some up. Ugh. They will come in handy. This is a pain in the butt. Most stereos are the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and there'll be a handful of plugs in the back. I'll make sure these match up with the new radio too. Alright, here's the old one on the left. We unplugged this connector and this antenna wire, and this looks exactly like this, except upside down. Now this one does have 2 extras, so I don't know what those are for. The antenna goes there, so we're going to hook up the new one and attach the battery to test it to make sure it works. Because the brackets don't line up. So I did some looking and some thinking, and it looks like this bracket on the new one that doesn't fit can be removed with these 4 screws. Same with the old bracket, and just measuring the distances. Knuck to middle of pinky. Oh, knuckle to middle of pinky. They should swap out. There's a bracket on each side, and then that radio should fit in the dash. Swap bonus brackets on the ground. Fits right in there. We're going to hook up the battery real quick just to make sure that those extra plugs don't really matter. Nope, that one doesn't work. I wouldn't be the truck man if I wasn't prepared. I had this one that I pulled out of the junkyard probably about a year ago because my tape deck stopped working, but never found the time to put it in, so we're going to clean this up and get her in there. The primary goal of replacing the stereo, I just want to make sure the tape deck and CD player work. This one's pretty dirty, so we're going to kind of dry clean these areas just to get as much dirt and debris out of there before we spray on it, just to make sure that we don't get too much crud in those areas. Don't tell my wife where the Q-tips are going. One more piece to change out is this key for the airbags. It will be keyed to your vehicle, so it's literally just 2 screws. Swap them out. And as always, installation is the opposite of removal. Get any broken bits out of there and put it all back together, see if it works. Problem. These are the vents that go to the heater on the old truck. These are the ones for the new truck, and they are substantially different, but it looks like we can probably unhook this and attach it to that, so we'll see if they're interchangeable. Lucky for us, perfect fit. Fits now. All right, we haven't been able to do this in a while. AC off, recirculate, fan. I can now turn the heater on, which is nice, and we'll leave it on front. Let the truck get a little warm and see if we get any heat out of it. Alright, so engine's up to operating temperature. New switch is in, right? I'll walk over here, show you where the switch is. So those cables, this is the switch for the heater that's cable driven by one of those knobs in there. Here's how you check to see if your heater core is plugged. So the switch says directions this, so this way is in. It's hot before the switch. It's hot after the switch. But you'll see where it comes out of the core here. This one's not hot. That tells me the coolant, or the hot coolant now, is not passing through the heater core. So we're gonna see if we can flush this out and get some heat in this truck. Remember, if you're gonna work on it, clean it. Now, I don't buy a lot of specialty tools, but if you're gonna be working on coolant lines, these little long reach hose pliers work really well. I just pulled this cap off the coolant and it is absolutely disgusting. Somebody's run water in here for way too long. So change of plan. We know we're gonna have to replace that heater core. It's gonna have to go with the whole system flush, but just to see if that heater core is plugged up, let's go ahead and flush it and see if we can at least get some heat for next week. Turn your control all the way to cold. If you're lucky, it'll have a direction on the controls, but if not, whichever one was hot, that's the one that goes in. Whichever one was cold, that's the one that comes out. All right, just to show you where we're at, we disconnected the inline in front of the controls because we know this one works. And we disconnected the outline right here to flow outward because we want to push some water through here, and then we're going to push some water back as well. So let's see if we got some flow. All right, we flushed water backwards. Make sure to collect it in a pan below. Now we're going to bleed the system because we introduced air over here. So while it's cold, we're going to turn it on, let it idle. This, what's in there, should bubble down a little bit, and we'll just keep adding the correct coolant as needed until it's full. I'm running out of daylight, but don't forget to turn your heater back to heat before you let it idle so the fluid will run through your heater core. So all in all, that project took about 4 hours total, you know, half a Sunday, and I just saved thousands of dollars because it's getting nice and toasty in here. Unfortunately, none of the radios I got worked, so we'll see if we can find another one, or maybe even have to go aftermarket. Shame, but at least it's warm.